came here to Kigali about 5 years ago, and I was a volunteer when I first came here. I've always loved books, and I did get involved in a book club. But I noticed that it was very difficult to find a big variety of books and that they're quite expensive. So I thought, well, maybe I could think about something that would help that. So I just started to collect books. I started to ask around and see what people were interested in, and eventually just started accumulating enough, and I decided to just start my own used bookstore. I discovered that there aren't any in Rwanda, and apparently from other people I've talked to, there really aren't that many in Africa overall. That is something that I had always found to be one of my favorite places to be as a book lover, especially since you can usually relax, sit down, can read if you want, and you can get affordable books. And you also, in a used bookstore, you can find a lot of really unusual topics or things that have been written a long time ago that can be, it's almost like going on a treasure hunt. So I decided to really pursue that more. Started going to yard sales, garage sales with expats leaving the country, buying up all the books that I could. I was also fortunate enough that I have some friends who were more than happy to donate some of the books that they have. So slowly, over a period of about 3 years, I accumulated about 1,000 books. So at that point, we were in COVID. So during that time, I was doing that and then doing a lot of planning, which I found is key, is to plan exactly how much money you're going to need and what your space is. And then we looked at places, my daughter and I, we looked at places to possibly rent here, but then it was going to mean that my prices were going to be higher than what I wanted. And we did look around quite a bit. We were able to get permission from immigration and from our landlord and RDB to operate out of the home as a separate entity. So we're able to do that, which made it reasonable for me. So once COVID was done, then we could kind of move forward. I was finished with my volunteering contract, and so we decided to open it up, and that's what we did this last July. I say we, it's mostly me, but I couldn't have done it without my daughter's help. It's been a really good learning experience for me. I have all kinds of genres here, but I'd say the ones that are the most popular are books by African authors. Is something that I wish I could get more books. I really do, because they go so fast. Everybody is interested in them. Achebe and Adichie especially, those people. People are very interested in Rwanda culture and history. I'd say so those two things specifically. Children's books are very desirable here, especially young children's board books. It's almost impossible for me to keep enough of those in here. So I'm always asking anybody I know, I say, if you have any kids' books that you don't want anymore, I'd be happy to trade, or you can donate, or I can buy them from you. It's almost impossible for me to keep enough of those. So those are some really big categories. People also, especially Rwandan folks, students especially like business books. I have a pretty good selection of business books right now. I got a good deal from somebody that was leaving the country. I bought his whole stock. So I have quite a few business books right now. But history, people seem to like history quite a bit. And it just depends on the person. But I'd say those are some of the major categories that I sell a lot. And of course, fiction. I have a young adult section that's very popular. And the Hunger Games I've sold over and over again, quite a few times. People seem to like a lot of your thriller types of books. There are books by like Dan Brown. Those are very popular. And then some romance in there too. So, and those are very reasonably priced because I was able to get a very good deal on a huge box of paperback romance books early on before I even started the business. And so I'm able to price those at like $1,000 for like one book, which is cheap. I have been trying to find a pattern, but I have not been able to find a pattern yet. Sometimes I'm really busy on, say, a Thursday morning. Like last week, Thursday morning, I had about 12 people in and out within about a couple hours. And this Thursday, I had, one. And on the weekends, there have been times when I've had a huge rush, like on a Sunday afternoon, and then other times when there's nobody. So it's very sporadic. I imagine it will settle into a pattern after time. Usually Saturday afternoons, I get quite a few people in. Yeah, unless it's if it's Umuganda, then in the afternoons. If it's not an Umuganda Saturday, then in the mornings. I usually get quite a few on a Saturday. And it's a mix. I get people from all over the world, which is really, it's very cool. It's meant to be an international, flavor, but I do cater more to the Rwandan culture as much as I can, especially with regards to history and the fiction. I'm really trying to build that up as much as I can, but it's going to take time. Age group, it's usually, I would say half of the people that come in here are probably between the ages of 20 and 30, and the other half are families. A lot of time, and that's when I get quite a few expats that will come in with their children. That's very rough, but I'd say that's about right. At this stage of my life, I like a good read. I just finished reading, it's called Demon Copperhead, which won the Pulitzer Prize in the U.S., and it's a really good story about the poor growing up in the Appalachia area, and it's a very good social commentary on addiction, but it's just written so well. It was wonderful. So I've been trying to read some more deeper. I try to gloss through quite a few books now because people ask me what I think. So if I don't know, then we'll go together, kind of look up reviews on my laptop, or I ask other people, like if they come back in to trade, like, what did you think of it? Did you like it? So I can pass the information on to other people. But your taste changes, I think, over time as you get older too. So I do make some candles. Yeah, that's just kind of a side operation. Like for example, I was able to get some essential oils imported because it's cheaper. And I use pressed flowers to decorate them with. So it's just like a lavender scent. And they sell for like, this one here I think it's only $4,000. They're very inexpensive. It's basically whatever the cost is for the wax that I use. So. Every week I always have coffee and tea available. I usually have some cold drinks, free water of course, and I usually have like sparkling water available for like $1,000, and sometimes I have Fanta, but I charge pretty much close to cost on those types of things. This week we have brownies, fudgy brownies, for 500 francs a piece, and I have cinnamon sugar cookies for 1,000. And every week is maybe slightly different. I usually have at least one sweet snack and one somewhat savory snack. And my world famous peanut butter fudge, which, well, let's say it's Kigali famous peanut butter fudge, which is actually really good. And I always have free samples too. So you can, if you want to sit and have a cup of tea or coffee and have a little snack, you can. Or if you want to take it to people who really love books often are the small, independent bookstores, something like this, especially like a used bookstore. And this is built around that concept, a place where you can come in, where you never know what you're going to find. There's usually some kind of a treasure here for everybody. And the vibe is usually more relaxed, informal, a pretty, casual people working there as well. And you're also going to get people who are knowledgeable, oftentimes about books. So it's more of an experience of just being able to enjoy yourself in a relaxed pace than if you go into a big retailer. And that's the thing. And independent bookstores are making a comeback now since COVID is done. People are starting to really appreciate having a book in your hand instead of a Kindle. I mean, I read a lot. I've read a lot on my Kindle, but I still prefer the feel of a good book in my hand. So, but I'd say I've modeled this after a typical used bookstore. I was actually shocked that there weren't any when I came here. I was very uninformed that there weren't, that kind of thing here. So I'm really happy to be able to provide that.